Keep yourself in the loop of everything football. Listen to Alex and Jeremiah on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Hello there, I'm Jeremiah.
I am Alex, always and forever here.
Dedicated to college and NFL football. The latest football news on and off the field. NFL draft trade rumors. We've got you covered from the NFL, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC, and everything else in between. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, where we talk the latest news, rumors, and games of the NFL and college football, from the latest signings to this year's breakout stars and all the news in between. As always, I am Alex.
I'm Jeremiah.
And I'm Anthony.
And we are back today to discuss football on football. It is Thursday. That means that we have the final drive to end the show. But in the time between then, we are talking two games, the NFL Thursday Night Football game and the college Thursday Night Football game tonight. I believe the only college football game tonight, between Houston and Louisville, and of course the NFL game being, yes, it is the only game tonight, and then the NFL game being the Saints taking on the Panthers in an NFC South showdown. And Jeremiah, this game is actually on NBC.
And yes, it is.
We realized.
Yes, it is. It is.
I wonder if it'll also be on Twitter.
It is. I think it is on Twitter.
There you go.
Yeah.
Excuse me. We'll be talking those two games, and then in the break between that and the final drive, we will talk a little bit about another rookie quarterback starting a game this year, but this is actually the one we've been waiting for. We counted all of the rookie quarterbacks before this one, and this one has finally arrived. And I'm excited for this one.
Yeah,
I'll
me
tell
too.
I'll tell you the truth. I'm excited for this one.
Me too.
But we're going to start the show with Thursday Night Football in the NFL, and that is a game between the New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers, in which the New Orleans Saints are in third place in the division with a 4-5 record. The Carolina Panthers are horribly in last place at 3-6 after a good year last year, obviously getting all the way to the Super Bowl. They are in dead last. New Orleans is technically tied for second, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do have the tiebreaker at 4-5 there. So, as it stands, I personally have the Saints in this one. They've been playing good offense lately. They've been playing well on offense, and their defense is starting to get it. They're starting to figure out how to win some games. You know, excuse me, in their last 5 games, they are 3-2. They did lose to Denver, but they lost by 2 points. They handled San Francisco. They won against Seattle. They beat Seattle in a pretty good game by 5 points. They only lost by 6 to Kansas City, and then they already beat Carolina all the way back in October by 3 points. So clearly they're learning to win some close games, and even when they're losing, they're close losses still. So that is impressive to say the least. Now we look at the Panthers. The Panthers have lost 3 of their last 5. They're 3-2. They lost to Kansas City most recently, 2017.
Remember, they blew that.
Yeah, they almost blew that.
Yeah,
they blew that lead to them too. They barely beat the Rams in a game in which it was just so boring, 13-10. They did beat Arizona. I was surprised by that one, 30-20. They lost to, like I said, New Orleans a few weeks ago, and then they lost to Tampa Bay by 3, 14-17. So, as it stands, not winning games. Excuse me. Cam Newton's not playing the same. You know, he has 7 interceptions this year. Yeah, he has 10 touchdowns, but I mean, look at Drew Brees, 24 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. That man is on fire, even when they're not winning a lot of games. Brandon Cooks has been, just reeling in 90-yard catch after 90-yard catch. Greg Olsen is not getting the same kind of openings he did last year. So there's an offensive problem for the Panthers, not to mention their defense is not as good. Now, I talked to, obviously, Anthony about this on the sports show already. Jeremiah, give me your take on who you think is going to win this one, and I'll move to you, Anthony.
Okay, I think I'm going to go with the Anthony strategy here. I know how you go with the home team. I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with Carolina in this game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder how's that been working for you, Anthony?
Not the best. Sometimes it's hit and miss depending on who it is.
Baltimore won the week prior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they play the Browns. We kind of expected them to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. I mean, Minnesota plays Detroit next week, but there's a lot of Thursday night games because that's
the Thanksgiving
Technically
week,
speaking, the Thursday night game is the Steelers-Colts game.
Yeah.
So, and that's Colts at home. So, I mean, what are you going to do now, Anthony? who do you really think is the better team in that aspect? I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. I don't know.
He's so defeated.
So anyways, who do you have winning this one, Jeremiah?
I told you the Carolina Panthers, like legit. I know,
but I'm saying the reasoning, like besides the fact that they're the home team.
This actually was a difficult game to pick, actually, because I kind of think they're a little evenly matched. I know the Saints have been playing really good offense, but I really feel like Panthers are going to get back on track at one point. I don't. There's no way that the Panthers are going to win like 5 games. I think they're a really better team than that. I think they get kind of 2 games under 500 today, and then basically I just think they need to recuperate off of that loss when they blow that 17-point lead at home. They have to bounce back from that. They have to.
Do they, though?
They kind of have to.
Because, the thing about bad teams is they don't usually.
Yeah.
They don't have that bounce back. Now, Anthony.
Yes.
I know you have the Saints in this one as well.
I do.
Why is that?
Basically, you look at the year, Carolina Panthers, last year they're 15-1, best, season they've ever had. Now 3-6. Cam Newton's not looking like the same person. You get Kelvin Benjamin back. You're thinking that would be a good thing. He's not been able to integrate as well as you would probably have hoped. For the Carolina Panthers, like I said, Greg Olson's still the leading guy for receiving yards at 712. And you just look at the whole matchup of the Saints. Yeah, the defense stinks, but the defense has stunk for a decade with that team. And it's always been their offense. And Drew Brees, even at a advanced age, you would say for someone like that, he's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Has a solid chance. If let's say the Saints, they're 4-5, not technically leading the division, but let's say they, win a few more games. Let's say they get to 9-7, 10-6, something like that, and win the division. He's got a solid enough chance as anybody, as Ezekiel Elliott, as Matt Ryan, as Tom Brady, to win the MVP of the league. He's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I'm going to go with him and his offense, even though they're not at home, over the Carolina Panthers.
Okay, I can understand that. I respect that. So we have 2 for the Saints and 1 for the Panthers. Is that right? Is that how it stands?
Yep.
Yeah, that's how it stands right now.
All right. Well, that means tomorrow, Jeremiah, you guys are going to talk about who was right and who was wrong and why they were right and why they were wrong. Boom. I can't wait.
You won't be here.
I won't. Yeah, but I know. But you guys, I know you're going to talk about it. Now we're going to move from the NFL to the NCAA F, if you go that way, in college football, and the college football game of the night, and that is between Houston and Louisville. Now, Houston and Louisville are playing one another. This was a game looked at as a pretty significant game about 5-6 weeks ago.
Right.
As it stands now, Louisville is the 5th-ranked team in the nation after the most recent college football playoff poll. But Houston, who had started the year about 15, I think, worked their way all the way up into the single digits, lost 2 games already this year at 8-2. Of course, Louisville's 9-1, only having lost to Clemson and being 5-0 their last 5 games. As it stands, Houston has lost to Navy and to SMU. Even then, they only beat Tulsa by 7, UCF by 7, and their last game they played, they only defeated Tulane by 12. So clearly not the same team. Now, Jeremiah, I know you're big on Houston, and I know you've also been big on Louisville trying to get back into the playoffs. I would assume your pick here is Louisville. We have Lamar Jackson. The man is responsible for nearly 40 touchdowns on his own to only 6 interceptions. We talked about in the sports show these records in which Tim Tebow and Cam Newton have for total touchdowns and rushing and pass. He could tie some of those tonight in terms of, we've seen him throw 3 touchdown passes. He needs 3 to get to what I think Cam got to, you said?
Yeah.
And then rushing, I think, was 30, 31. He's got, or not, that was total.
It was 30 for Cam Newton. It was 30 passing touchdowns, 21 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, so he can get to 21 tonight. He's got 19.
For Tim Tebow, it was
30 touchdowns passing. He can get to that tonight. We've seen it. And then Tebow,
so he can actually get 5 touchdowns and get both of them.
Technically speaking, I'm not going to. Houston's defense is good, but I'm not going to go to. But I'm saying we've seen him get he can get at least one of those tonight, let alone in the last few games he has. And then I'm sorry, you said Tebow's is what?
32 and 23, 32 passing, 23 rushing.
So he needs 4, and what'd you say for rushing?
23.
Yeah, he needs 4.
So basically, over the next 2 games, he could.
I'm saying for passing.
It could happen.
Rushing.
He's
exactly.
only like 2 or 3 weeks left in college football.
Yeah.
Well, for Louisville, unless they get in the playoffs, and I don't know if that would. I think that those still count for you.
I think those still count.
They do.
As opposed to the NFL, that they count. They have 2 games left. Houston, obviously tonight, and then they have Kentucky next week, and he could absolutely do that in that span. So as it stands, Jeremiah, I'm sorry to keep you waiting. I do believe that you would take Louisville in this one. Am I right?
Why would you assume that?
Because as high as you were on Houston coming in, you're not silly enough to think they're going to win this game
I'm kidding.
without precedence.
Yeah, I'm kidding. Yeah, I got Louisville.
Okay.
But I do expect that. I wanted the game to be really competitive.
Yeah, now don't forget Houston's defense has been not bad all year. They're only allowing about 21 points a game, which is not far from Louisville's 20.3 points a game, 21.3 to 20.3, pretty even. And they do have Greg Ward Jr., who was looked at as a Heisman possibility candidate this year. He is responsible for a load of touchdowns as well. He has about 25 touchdowns on his part. He has 8 interceptions, but he's playing well still. He was looked at as the dual threat guy in this division. And not quite, but
he also is the leading rusher for the Houston Cougars there.
Yes, he is.
That's actually not
both of these quarterbacks are.
I know, but Lamar Jackson has like over 1,300 yards. Greg Ward only has over 400.
Yeah, he has about 430 rushing.
That's kind of not good.
No, it's not. And you look at Houston. I mean, they're not. He throws the ball more than he runs it. Obviously, I mean, you're not far from the same. Carries are 40 different. It's 184 to 144. So that difference, that'll do it. But I mean, clearly, I would say at a 144, I don't even know if Lamar Jackson was. I could believe he was still over 1,000 at that point. You know what I mean? So I think I'm going Louisville. You're going Louisville. Anthony.
I'm going Louisville too, but there is one thing that I realized when looking at this game.
Go ahead.
Last year, they played Houston and Louisville.
Yes, they did.
And Houston beat Louisville.
Yes, they did.
Lamar Jackson didn't play too well, 17 to 27 for 168 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. And he only had 16 rushing yards.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget, Lamar Jackson is coming off probably his worst game of the year.
Mm-hmm. Which, for him, his standards.
Yes, but I mean...
Yeah, there's a lot of high standards.
Yes, I know, but playing Wake Forest in the game which they did play...
He still had 153 yards rushing.
Yes, but his passing numbers were not what they wanted it to be, so there's
And they won that game pretty handily, so...
Yeah.
It was close at one point.
Yeah. No, it was. But they won that game pretty handily at the end. That should tell you, well, they did play Wake Forest, but I should tell you how resilient the Louisville Cardinals are.
Yes, very true. I mean, at halftime it was 12-3. It wasn't amazing.
Right.
I mean, they were losing at halftime. I mean, they just happened to have a 34-point fourth quarter.
That'll help.
But yeah, I mean, he threw for 145 and 1. He had 153 yards rushing. But he didn't play amazing,
Right.
So I would still say yes, probably his worst game of the year so far. So, one to look at, yes, they beat him last year. Lamar didn't have a good game in that game. Hey, maybe he doesn't have a good game in this game. But, I mean, when you have 153 yards rushing, I mean, your passing numbers probably won't be as great. So 145 and 1 is still not bad. Anyways, we're in agreement. Louisville all around. All right, you guys have to let me know how it goes tomorrow when you discuss that.
Mm-hmm.
We're taking our first break. We're coming back, and we're talking some NFL player news and a rookie quarterback who's finally getting his first start. I cannot wait. We're going to do that in just a moment here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And we're back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, and it's time to talk Jared Goff. He's getting his first start of his short NFL career finally on Sunday against the Miami Dolphins in Los Angeles, in which I said if he gets his first start, they should make it at home, make it as easy as possible for him to not have to deal with things outside of just playing the game. Now, the big thing for him is the starting center is questionable in this game, so hopefully he does get to play because that'll just be another thing that might be difficult for Jared to get through. But finally, Jared Goff plays. Now, he has been sitting for, as it stands, 9 weeks because of their bye week. Fun fact, everybody said, why is he sitting? Why is he not playing? Right? He is actually not the longest quarterback to sit after being drafted for their first start. Eli Manning sat 9 games, and Jared Goff sat 9 games. Vinny Testaverde sat 11 games. Jamarcus Russell, who was looked at as somebody who was going to come in and save the Raiders, obviously not the case, sat 15 games. And Carson Palmer sat out his entire rookie year at 16 games. So Goff could have sat longer. Now he is starting. I am excited. I've been wanting him to start for a few weeks because I've been watching him for a few years, being a Pac-12 fan. I'm interested to see what the guy can do. Yes, you can get worse than Case Keenum has played. Do I think that will happen? I don't want it to. I mean, anything can happen. I'm not going to sit here and endorse him as he's going to come out and go crazy or anything like that. But I would like for him to play well. I think he has a better pure passing skill set than Case Keenum does. I think he has a better arm. Hopefully he makes decisions quicker than Case. And in the way that their offense is playing, sure, I think maybe this gives them some energy. Maybe they get that guy out there and they're like, all right, we have this rookie quarterback out there. We need to play well. We need to protect this kid. We need to make plays for him. You have Kenny Britt, who's having the best season in his career, arguably, since getting drafted by the Titans back in the first round back when. You have decent pieces on defense, and you still have Todd Gurley in the backfield. If Todd Gurley could at least get a couple yards and get some things moving in this game, Goff could see some openings. As it stands right now, they are 25th in the league in yards per game passing, and they are literally last in points per game with 15.4. They're doing well, though, in terms of points against, 19.2. That's 10th in the league, and the rushing yards are almost last at 29. So this offense needed something, and his name is Jared Goff. I'm excited. What about you, Jeremiah?
I am very excited as well. I tell you who is not excited. That's Case Keenum. He was not very happy. He said he was – this is what he said to Eldon Gonzalez of ESPN. He said, quote, honestly, I wasn't happy. I want to play. That's why I play football, to be the quarterback and the guy with the ball in his hands. With that being said, I trust Coach Fisher. Well,
no offense, man, but you should have played better.
Well, Case Keenum, if you really wanted to be the quarterback of this team, maybe you should have played better.
Exactly.
Not throw so many picks.
Exactly. I mean, I don't mean this in a rude way, but he has nobody to blame but himself. Maybe some of the offense, maybe the scheme in that sense, maybe putting him in a position to win. But you're doing this. You're the one playing, man. You control how well you play. And unfortunately, he wasn't playing well enough. He really wasn't.
He really wasn't.
And that's the downside. Anthony, are you excited? Because I know you are a Miami Dolphins fan.
Yes.
Now, are you excited in the sense of how I, as a Steeler fan, for years and years was excited anytime a rookie quarterback came because for years, rookie quarterbacks did not beat Dick LeBeau defenses.
Right.
The Steelers, in a sense, have been beaten by 2 rookie quarterbacks this year, so I no longer feel that way.
Yeah.
But are you excited because a quarterback starting his first ever game is playing against your favorite team? Or are you excited because you actually, like Jeremiah and I, would like to see Mr. Jared Goff play? Because Jared and I, it's like we know the kid. We've been reporting on this guy since April,
right?
Way back. So, what are you excited about?
So yeah, I mean the whole local-ish factor, him being from Cal and everything else like that.
He's not from far from Cal either. He's from I think he's from Santa Clara.
Mm-hmm. So
he's still around here.
So that part of it at least makes it kind of cool as far as a semi-local kind of thing like that. Yeah, being a Dolphins fan, it's fun to see what he can do because now you actually have confidence with the Dolphins. They've gotten a little bit better over the last 5 weeks. So that part makes it a little more, let's say it was week 4, right? And it was you're playing Jared Goff. I'm like, yeah, he's going to throw for 300 yards. That's how this is going to go. You just be total Eeyore status about the whole thing. You just assume it's going to go poorly. Mm-hmm. Now, you get Cameron Wake, who's been a little bit better, getting a little bit more snaps because he came back from the Achilles injury, and he's slowly been used a little bit more and more and more because you don't want to kind of just throw him all at once. Just like, here, have fun, and then it pops again.
Here, have fun, pop.
Right.
Very
so
true.
He's got 7 sacks this year, which leads the team. And then you also get Ndamukong Suh, who, got that big contract, but has been pretty consistent this year. Has been a guy that's been able to eat up a lot of offensive linemen, so that way you can get Cameron Wake to go rush the quarterback. If you look at it at least through a statistical prism or whatever, the Dolphins are top 10 in yards per game as far as the defense goes. Yards per game, sacks, touchdowns, defensive touchdowns. So it's something that they've been really good as a whole team defensively. Kiko Alonso has been really good for him, so I'm interested to see as far as the Dolphins go if they can kind of shut him down, because he said Case Keenum hasn't done well. Todd Gurley hasn't done well. So in that case, you might say it's a little bit of an offensive line problem because Todd Gurley, we saw, was good last year. So maybe it's one of the things where once Todd Gurley gets the ball, there's 2 defenders right in his face. He has to kind of deal with stuff. And same thing with Case Keenum. Yeah, he could have played better, but also the offensive line being bad, you can only do so much. So I'm interested to see what happens with the Dolphins, kind of like you said with you when you had Dick LeBeau. Yeah. You trusted him with Polamalu and Harrison and everybody else on that team. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now you get something with the Dolphins. You trust Cameron Wake. You trust Ndamukong Suh. You trust Kiko Alonso. You trust some of the guys that are on that defense. I want to see what the Dolphins can do defensively, see if they can actually get to him and everything else like that. Because even if he throws for, call it 250 yards and a couple of touchdowns, it'll look nice. But
you want to get that win.
Personally, yeah, let's go 31-14.
I think one thing's for sure, they're going to blitz him. Mm-hmm. I know they're going to blitz him. They're going to try to throw a lot of interesting coverages at him, blitz him, shield blitzes, hide blitzes, show blitz but not blitz. They're going to try to do a lot to him mentally to really throw him off. As it stands. And then I was actually not Santa Clara. I was mistaken in Novato, California. So just so we cover all our bases.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Now, do you guys want to give me, before we take our last break, do you want to give me some kind of prediction how you might see this game going for him? Do you see them coming away with a win? I know this is interesting for you, but you are also very realistic with your Dolphins team, as I am. You know what I mean? With the Steelers, when we're going to the Patriots game, I was like, yeah, we're going to probably lose.
I'm too realistic with my team. We'll just say that right now.
You are very realistic for your team. I think you wish Jared Goff was playing for your team. I think you wish a certain Cal quarterback from past was playing for your team.
He did slide all the way to 24 in that draft too. But
even though he was from. He was from like Santa Clara.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So no, he was from Chico.
Oh, right. You're right.
Chico.
Chico.
He's from Chico. But I do want to point this out. The last number 1 overall pick to win their first start was David Carr. That was so long ago.
Yeah, and that was the start of bad things.
Yeah. So I just want to say, can Jared Goff be the first number 1 overall pick to do that?
And that's that's first overall pick, because there's been plenty of rookies. Quarterbacks who won their first start. I mean, Roethlisberger, as a Steeler fan, believe me, I know a lot of Steeler facts. Mm-hmm. Roethlisberger didn't lose a game his rookie year. After he started, so up until the AFC Championship game. So there's been plenty of quarterbacks to win their starts, but yes, the first overall pick.
And I think he's going to be the first one since David Carr to do it.
Yeah, you think he's going to win?
I think he's going to bring.
I think the way their defense plays. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that defense is going to keep the Rams in the game, and I think that's. I think Jared Goff is going to add a little, kind of like a different element to this team that they haven't had the entire year. I think it's going to have a. I think Todd Gurley is going to play a little bit better since he knows he has a little bit of help there now. That's why I'm going to go with this. Sorry, Anthony. I might have to pick against your Dolphins here. Even though the Dolphins have looked really good for the past 4 games. They're on a 4-game winning streak. So
yes, they have.
This isn't a gimme game either. But I think this is one of the games I'm actually excited for. I've never said I was excited for a Rams game in quite a long time. So
unless it was a Rams-Niner game.
Not even.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, the interesting thing to me is you look at, like I said, their defense. Jeremiah, you said their defense, would, in sense, hopefully they could keep them in this game, What's interesting to me in that aspect is they're only allowing about 19.5 points a game. Mm-hmm. If that can be a consistent thing all game this game, I think they're going to be in a good spot to possibly help him get a win, because yes, the Dolphins have been playing well, but at the same exchange, they haven't faced that many great defenses. And I'm not saying that the Rams are great, but if they can do anything to slow Miami down, I think it's only going to help the Rams and Goff there. Would you like to show any kind of acknowledgement in a I suppose a prediction?
So
I don't know where you're going with that. I was like, what are you asking him?
Would you like to try to? I'm saying, would you like to try to predict something? Would
Yeah.
you like to try to predict, how this might go?
That was the weirdest way you ever asked that question.
You're welcome.
So, yeah, I looked at David Carr. Right? He's talked about David Carr being the guy last time, number 1 overall pick, won a game. He was 10 of 22, 145 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. I think Goff will be a little bit better than that.
Yeah, he will be. I think he will too.
Passing game's a little bit, more than it was back in 2002. So I think he'll probably get somewhere around a little over 200 yards, call it 225, something around there. 2 touchdowns and an interception sounds about right. Kind of some good, kind of some bad. I think they'll win because I actually have a little bit more confidence in the Dolphins, which, now maybe get smacked down. Maybe, I'll be sad after this. But for right now, I think the team's actually playing a lot better. And I'm going to say the Dolphins – not score a lot of points because you are still relying on the running back. You're still relying on J.J. And, so I would say Jared Goff's got about 225 yards, a couple touchdowns, probably 2 and 2, honestly, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, just because he's going to have to basically learn. Like you said, they're going to throw weird, complex defenses at him, just basically confuse him, throw stuff he's never seen when he was a Cal. I'm not saying the Dolphins win by 17 points, something like that. Call it 24 to 14, something like that, to get a field goal at the end to kind of put it out of reach, so it's a 2-score game.
All right.
Okay,
that was very in depth.
That was. I like that breakdown there.
I appreciate that effort there, Anthony. I like it.
Put a lot of thought into that.
Yes, you did.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, man.
Yeah.
All right. From there, we're going to take our last break, come back, and we are going to hit you with the final drive before we get out of here for the day. So until then, we'll be right back after this quick break at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And we are back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. And to end the show, like we do on every Thursday, it is time for the final drive, in which we mention one piece of news each, something that slipped through the cracks of the NFL rumor week, all the news. It's hard, man, to keep up with all of it. But I'll start, and because there wasn't many for me to choose from, and you guys got the good ones, I will choose one that just hurts me on a personal level. Now, I mentioned to you in the sports show, good front sevens negate bad secondaries at times. And I know this firsthand because as a Steeler fan last year, the secondary was not very good. Yet, when everybody was healthy, Cameron Hayward, Stephon Tuitt, they had, at that time, somebody who's no longer on the team at D-tackle. They now have a younger kid there. It's not bad. You had Tim Healthy and Shazier, who's arguably one of the most versatile and fast linebackers in the league. Bud Dupree and Jarvis Jones, plus the rotation of Arthur Moats and James Harrison. It was a good front seven, and it really helped them down the stretch in their secondary that started to tighten up because of that. Get to the passer, throw up worse, bad passes, so on and so forth. The reason this hurts me is because a big part of why that defense was good and why the Dolphins ran for 200 yards on the Steelers, and the next week they had huge rushing yards on them as well, was Cameron Hayward was hurt. He had a hamstring injury. Now, he's the anchor of that D-line, and unfortunately the anchor of that D-line is now lost for the season. He is missing the rest of the year with a torn pectoral muscle and a huge problem with his right arm and some bruising there as well. He had missed, like I said, about 3 games, including that Dolphin game. He is definitely the best defensive player in my eyes on the Steelers as of right now. Most consistent, drafted him out of Ohio State back in 2011, I want to say. And he's pretty much started most of all the games that he's been there. So it is a big blow for a lot of people in Pittsburgh and a lot of fans of that team in general, because he is definitely one of the pieces you need on that team to make a run in the playoffs. And unfortunately, he's gone, and that hurts, but I move on.
My My favorite thing that I took from this is I like his tweet with the crying Jordan face. I
like
the crying Jordan face. I can't get enough of it.
Oh, I can. I got enough. I got enough of it about the end of last year.
Okay, and then, but I'm surprised I haven't seen the joyous Bill Murray face.
I love that. Man. He just looks so happy.
It hasn't caught on.
He deserved all of that. He looks so happy.
He did. He
looks so happy. All right, who's up next?
All right, well, I will go. Keep the rotation here. And so it looks like the Green Bay Packers, they're still trying to look for a running back ever since A.D. Lacy has been out. Mm-hmm. Well, the Packers claimed Christine Michael off waivers. And in case you've been living under a rock or haven't been paying attention to any news out there, guys, Christine Michael was the starting running back for the Seattle Seahawks for the first, I believe, 7 to 9 games this year for the Seahawks. And the Seahawks just cut him. Mm-hmm. Just cut him loose.
Thomas Rawls is coming back.
He's coming back.
Played well.
Exactly. So I'm not surprised by that. So yeah, but the thing, but the thing is though, I don't know what to expect from Michael here as a Packer. Do you have James Starks coming back? Ty Montgomery had some time there in the backfield. I don't know if he's going to still have those snaps there. Mm-hmm. Remember, they did trade it for Now Davis.
They straight released him.
And just straight released him 2 days later.
Yeah. And then the downside is Don Jackson is now on the IR. He hurt his knee at practice this week and is unfortunately moving to the IR, so that is a downside.
There's a line I like here on the NFL article. It says, the Packers also traded for Now Davis, shared a cup of coffee, then cut ties.
Yep, they didn't even give him one. They shared one.
They shared one. They didn't give him one.
Yep, he didn't even get a full one. He had like a tall from Starbucks, and he didn't even.
Those are small. I had those the other day, and I was like, really?
I know. I worked at Starbucks for 4 years. I know exactly.
I forgot how small they were because I haven't been to Starbucks for so long. Mm-hmm. They were I haven't been. Those are tiny.
They are tiny.
Yeah.
If you look at it that way. All right. Finally, last but not least, we move to you, Anthony.
So we're gonna go a little bit of a sadder note here. So we go Isaiah Pete. Well, you know what?
Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks to bum us out.
You know what? I'm sorry. This is news. This is
I know
information. Anyways, Isaiah Pede, former NFL running back, last played for the Miami Dolphins. He was in a car accident where he kind of miraculously that he survived. He was heading down the highway at speeds of at least 90 miles an hour. He was ejected from the vehicle, and he also had somebody else in the car. Buddy of his, Richardson, who is fine. Like, he was in a little bit of, hit and miss, but he's got released. Everything's fine with him. But Isaiah Pede lost part of his leg after the crash. Obviously, his football career is over with. It's hard to play football with,
knee injuries, let alone apparently some missing leg.
Yeah. So you had, former coaches of his because he used to play for Cincinnati. So you had a former head coach of his go over and show up. Bob Mangine.
Along those lines, sure.
Went and saw him yesterday and tweeted out a photo of him while he was in the hospital. He's, in good spirits, everything else like that. He will be fine as far as he'll be released eventually. Just, someone in the NFL, second-round pick, didn't really get off to the best of starts, and now he has this. So hopefully he can, if he wants to stay in football, have some sort of a assistant coach job. Maybe he goes back to Cincinnati, something like that. But, it was one of those things. I remember the name Isaiah Pede, oddly enough, from like the League episode. But he, he started with the Dolphins this year, and he was in that running back tandem of him and Jay Ajayi and Arian Foster. So I wanted to see if he could contribute. Didn't get off to the best start. He only had 100 yards rushing his whole career. But sad news, he's okay. Like I said, 90 miles an hour on the freeway, gets ejected from the car. I mean, I got to think if that was me or anybody else, it's not going to, go well, obviously. But relatively speaking, he'll make a full recovery, and, just kind of sad news that he lost part of his leg, and at least playing-wise, his career is over with.
Yeah, it's sad to hear. He was with the Steelers last year for a little while. Mm-hmm. So I got to know the player as a fan a little bit more. I didn't really have a personal opinion on him because I didn't really pay attention too much before then. Now I know he's with the Rams, obviously. Mm-hmm. I think he said he played for Cincinnati. So,
Cincinnati Bearcats.
Yeah, in college. Yeah. So I didn't really know much on him until he came to the Steelers. But yeah, that's unfortunate to hear. I mean, I'm glad that he is okay in the sense of nothing worse happened. I'm glad he gets to live.
He gets to live. I think that's the miracle here.
Yeah, he's got a tough life ahead of him, I'm sure, with some issues and probably. I mean, we know they haven't said the severity of how much leg he lost, whether it was a chunk or like from the knee down.
Right.
So there's going to be an adjusting period, and unfortunately, that is now life for him. But hopefully, he can put just as much determination as he did with football and be just as good as ever. So hopefully. Thank you for bumming us out, Anthony.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Anyways, that is it for us today. Tomorrow, you guys will be back as well as Ben.
And I just want to let you know, Alex.
Go ahead.
This is my last show with you until like a week.
Until not Monday, but the following Monday.
Till the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Jeremiah, you will be going home to Fresno for Thanksgiving, which is understandable. But no, I'm kidding. That's understandable. So Anthony has been gracious enough to possibly come in on Tuesday for some shows and do a fantasy football show as well.
Okay, so you're going to take over the show.
No. He said maybe. He said maybe. Because we're only doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week.
That's right. That is right.
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week because Thursday is Thanksgiving, of course, and then Friday. I mean, I wouldn't have been here anyway because I don't come on Fridays. But, it is the day. It's Black Friday, I personally have some things I need to get taken care of that day. I'm going to a Kings game. Thank you, Anthony.
Okay.
And I'm watching the Apple Cup that day as well.
Okay.
So
it's on Black Friday, the Apple Cup?
Every year, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Because I know that's a big rivalry week in the college football.
12:30 Pacific time here. There as well. I think there's an hour difference up there. I always forget. No, it might be when I go through Nevada that changes.
Maybe.
But either it's the same or not. But 12:30. So I'm excited
but
for that.
I won't see you until November 28th.
Yes.
Don't ask me how I know that date specifically. I don't know why.
I don't know how you know that date specifically either.
Yeah.
But specifically, I'd like to say, yeah, great. I will be here still for the fans. But yeah, of course, I'll be back on Monday. Jeremiah won't, but he'll be back tomorrow. If you guys want your Jeremiah fix, as well as Anthony and Ben will be here tomorrow to discuss tonight's Thursday Night Football games and anything and everything that they discuss on Friday normally, in which they preview some of the weekend games as well. So until Monday, I'd like to say you guys have a good weekend. Enjoy your football. And until tomorrow, I'm sure these guys would like to say, hey, talk to you later. But I will see you Monday. They will see you tomorrow. And thank you, as always, for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. I am Alex.
I'm Jeremiah.
And I'm Anthony.
And we will see you guys later. You have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the football, and we'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.